Breathing in, the Buddha breathed with my lungs. Breathing out, I enjoy my breathing. Buddha breathed with my lungs. I enjoy my breathing. J'inspire, le Bouddha respire avec mes poumons. J'expire, je me réjouis de ma respiration. Bouddha respire avec mes poumons, me réjouis de ma respiration. Breathing in, the Buddha is sitting with my back. Breathing out, I enjoy the sitting. Buddha sits with my back. I enjoy the sitting. J'inspire. Le Bouddha s'assoit avec mon dos. J'expire. Je me réjouis de l'assise. Bouddha s'assoit avec mon dos. Je réjouis de l'assise. Breathing in, the Buddha dwells in his own island. Breathing out, I can dwell in my own island. Buddha dwells in the island of himself, dwelling in my own island. J'inspire, le Bouddha s'établir dans son lit intérieur. J'expire, je peux m'établir dans mon île. Bouddha s'établit dans l'île intérieure, m'établit dans mon île. Breathing in, the Buddha has arrived. Breathing out, I enjoy being arrived. Buddha has arrived. I enjoy being arrived. J'inspire, le Bouddha est arrivé. J'expire, je me réjouis d'être arrivé. Bouddha est arrivé, me réjouis d'être arrivé. monastic brothers and sisters are invited to come up to offer chanting before the Dharma talk. Thank you.
Contemplation avant le chant. La Sangha est invitée à retourner à sa respiration. Ainsi, notre énergie collective de pleine conscience nous rassemblera en un organisme, coulant comme une rivière sans plus aucune séparation. Laissons la Sangha tout entière respirer comme un seul corps, chanter comme un seul corps, écouter comme un seul corps, et transcender les frontières d'un soi illusoire, et nous libérons ainsi du complexe de supériorité, d'infériorité et d'égalité.
And Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our international Sangha. As we are sitting here, a few hundred of us in this meditation hall, but we also have at least a few hundred other people sitting with us at this moment everywhere in the world, online. Many friends from Asia will be there evening. And many people in America or South America will be there very late evening or early morning. This is our second public day of mindfulness, and so we can welcome our neighbors, friends in nearby can join us for a day of mindfulness. Many years ago, when I was living at Deer Park Monastery in Southern California, one day, I remember it was a day of mindfulness, like today. I was cooking with Brother Pháp Đệ, our very lovely brother. He used to be a priest and a novice. You probably will remember him, Brother Minh Hoa. We were cooking that day, and I think Brother Pháp Đệ, he forgot his hearing aid, so he did not hear very well. So when we hear the bell in the dining hall chime, we stop. But Brother Pháp Đệ, he did not hear. He kept moving around. So our little novice, out of his compassion, he kind of reminded Brother Pháp Đệ. He asked, Brother Pháp Đệ, how do you practice listening to the bell? So Brother Pháp Đệ looked up. He said, I stop, then I think what I'm going to do next. Oh, we may be laughing at him, but I think many of us, we are one time or another, we are in the same kinds of mindset. We hear the bell, we stop physically, but mentally, we're not quite able to stop ourselves. So we're still thinking of many other things. I'm sure many of you really look for this day that you can come and join us in the monastery, because it's been almost 2 years that we cannot have a regular day of mindfulness. So to have a chance to be in the monastery ground and to be practicing mindfulness with all of us, it's a really a joy and an opportunity for us to gather and to generate our collective energies of mindfulness. And for those of you who are new or not so new to our practices, I just like to remind a little bit everybody of our very basic practices of stopping. When we have the activity bell invited, we can allow ourselves to stop, and to breathe, to enjoy the sunlight that is very warm on our face, on our skin. Just a few seconds to stop and to check in with ourselves, to see if whether we are arrived or we're not so arrived yet. In case we are not arrived, then this is an opportunity for us to arrive. Many times I see the bell invited, but we're still talking and drinking our tea out there in the tea house, and we don't hear we don't kind of follow the bell. And as we know, the bell is the voice of the Buddha calling us back. First, to go back to ourselves, and then to be present for ourselves and be present for the community, because we are gathering to have activities together, either this Dharma talk or the walking meditation or the lunch later on. So if we are not able to be present for ourselves, then physically we are here, but mentally, spiritually, we are not here with the community. So these practices, and also the practice of lining up, serving ourselves food, is also a time for us to practice being present, and not really a time for us to really talk. Because when we talk in the line like that, everybody can hear what we are talking. And somebody else, they may enjoy that peacefulness, the quietness of the monastery, and we definitely want to support them. So today, the practice of stopping and listening to the bell, the practice of serving food, practice of washing our plates and bowls after meals, these are the practices that we can collectively generate our mindfulness together. And so if any one of us forget, because long time we don't see each other, so there is the need, and also there is an urge for us to speak, to talk, and we can simply gently smile, offer that person a smile, and that person will remember, and they come back and enjoy the silence, the peacefulness of the monastery. Actually, when we are many and we are generating our mindfulness, it becomes a very, very healing and powerful energy for all of us to take refuge in. So each one of us, we have to contribute our part. And that is what is called for today, Day of Mindfulness. That means this day, with many small practices, help us to generate the energy of mindfulness. Otherwise, if we don't practice these basic practices, then we just gather like any kind of gathering, with many chapters, with many sounds. Like we go to the flea market, we hear many noises, many talks, many chatters, many voices. And I think one time or another, we all experience at the end of the mindfulness day that we definitely feel better, feel lighter, feel happier. There is a lay Dharma teacher couple. They practice for many years. And they kind of like teasingly and joyfully reminding each other, when they drift away or when they look like very absent. So one day, the wife looked at the husband and she asked, "Are you happy?" And the husband, kind of like, yeah, I'm happy. And then the wife looked into his eyes and she said, "Well, my darling, tell your face that you are happy." I thought this is a very good reminder for me when I hear his story. Usually at the end of the mindfulness day, when I use the toilet and I wash my hand and I look at myself in the mirror, I want to see, am I looking happier or is it looking the same as when I arrived? It's a way to check, to see. Because we call this is a day of mindfulness. And here, nobody say anything nasty to us. Is that right? We only water what is wholesome, what is beautiful, what is nourishing in us. in whatever activities we gather together and do, that is the purpose of it. But if we are not really practice mindful breathing and mindful steps, and the day passing by very quickly, and by the end of the day we need to go home, and we look the same. Many days I look the same. But there are other days I look happier and I do look a little bit lighter. So I hope you have a chance to experience this for you today. Yeah? So today we are learning the sutra, Avatamsaka Sutra. This is one of the most influential sutra in the Mahayana tradition. And this sutra is beyond the scope of this Dharma talk. In this sutra, the three main elements, the wisdom, the action, and the vow, or the commitment, which Bodhisattva Samantabhadra represented. And today we learned about the discourse of the flower garland. The 10 great aspirations of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. This Avatamsaka Sutra was written at least 500 years after the Buddhas entered Nirvana. And it is a compilation of many texts and discourses. So the flower garland discourse is the discourse number 36 in the Avatamsaka Sutra that we are going to learn today. In this Avatamsaka Sutra, it's a really big sutra. It's like a grand blade in that it have many scenes. And the main teachings of the Avatamsaka Sutra is the teachings of codependent arising. But this sutra, to the highest point of the teachings of codependent arising. So I'll teach you to say, this sutra teaches us to see the one in the all and the all in the one. Just like right now, we are sitting in this meditation hall. We are breathing at the same time. And also many other people are sitting at their home, online, with us. So we are all breathing. And so I don't say, no, you keep your French air to breathe for yourself. I keep my Vietnamese air and I breathe for myself. So we don't have that concept, right? So we just breathe. So we breathe in the air that all the people breathe out. And so in this Dharma, we all breathe. And we can really see how we relate, how we connect to one another. How to see in the little thing in the sutra, they say in the dusk, in the particle of dusk, you will see limitless Buddha. How do we understand this teaching? I think COVID-19 is a household name by now. We all know COVID-19. So I like to invite everybody to practice looking deeply with me, looking into this COVID-19, which is invisible, which is very tiny. What do you see in the COVID-19? When I look into the COVID-19, I see the way we disrespect animal, the way we destroyed our environment. We destroy the animals' habitat. You remember recently we have the footage of the drone of the flock of elephants in China. They wander around. Do you see that footage? They wander for many months out of their habitat, which is they call it a natural reserve forest for them. At first, scientists was very surprised that they travel like that for many months. And of course, on the way, they destroy crops, houses, living of other people. And they follow them. And now they are on their way to go back to their original place. And the scientists kind of figure out that they wander out of their living area because they look for food. Because we take away their environment. We clear forests. We make new shopping malls. We build new cities. We take away their habitat. And because they are growing in population and they don't have enough food, so they have to look for food. And that's how they wander. And they destroy quite many fields of crops. And kind of like create kind of obstacle for the daily living of the people in the areas that they travel. Or do you remember the extreme heat that we experience in summer? Sometimes it's 40 or above 40 degrees. And the flooding in Europe, in America, in China, in just 2 months ago, that killed hundreds of people. So when we look into that COVID-19, we also recognize our craving for meat, for dairy product. And we look deeper, we see that we also addict to buying cheap merchandise. We buy it because it's cheap. And in order to have the material to produce these very cheap merchandise, we know in one way or other, we really have great impact on the planet. So animals, when they don't have enough living conditions, either they extinct or they find way to survive. And that's how they transmit the disease, animal on animal or animal to human. And we can really see a lot of suffering people worldwide endure during these 2 years. You know, we cannot vaccinate our people and close the border. We are safe. Recently, the scientists, they predict that this pandemic will go on as long as many other nations have no vaccine for their people. So we all are in this pandemic. We are not only safe here and people somewhere else, you know, they have no means to find the way to vaccinate their people. So we really see this pandemic teach us something about interconnectedness, about interbeing. It's so obvious. With the pandemic, the global supply chain disrupts, and it affects people everywhere on this planet. And as we see this teaching of the Avatamsaka Sutra, the one in the all and the all in the one, it is even more relevant for us right now in this pandemic, in this crisis. Dr. Martin Luther King, he said something like this: all men, this glasses is not good. All men are caught in inescapable network of mutuality. He sees something of the teachings of interbeing, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. All men are caught in inescapable network of mutuality. So the teachings of this sutra, Avatamsaka Sutra, help us to have a deeper insight into the wholeness of reality. This is one example that is help us to understand this teaching. So usually in this world, we say, oh, I come from Netherlands, I come from China, I come from Canada. So we see the nationality, we see the differences. But when we enter the Dharma Ram, like the Dharma sharing, in this afternoon we will see that people from all over the world, when we introduce ourselves, we say, oh, I come from blah, blah, blah. But then when we talk about our struggle, our joy, our pain, our suffering, we recognize that we suffer the same thing. And we want to be happy, exactly the same. So we don't really see the distinction between European happiness and American happiness. But we really see as a one human family. We remove, somehow in the Dharma sharing, we remove that barrier that I suffer my own suffering, and there's nothing to do with you, or my suffering is so great that nobody can cope with it. So in this Avatamsaka Sutra, they say it teaches us that when we are able to use the wisdom of interbeing, then we can enter the Dharma Ram at any moment. And in that Dharma Ram, there is no distinction, no discrimination between ourselves and others. And many times we experience that in any kinds of Dharma gathering that we have. When we talk about ourselves, we talk about the pandemic. So William Blake, he said something: if the door of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinitive. Infinite. So when we are able to understand the interconnectedness between ourselves and other people, we are able to understand and somehow empathize with all of the pain and the suffering that we all endure for the last 2 years of the pandemic. And this sutra, what Bodhisattva Samantabhadra represent? We can really see how we can apply this teaching into our daily life. So let's take a look at the word Bodhisattva. So we have the word bodhi, which means enlightenment, not enlightenment. Or awakening. And sattva, it means sentient beings. So bodhisattvas are people who have the aspiration to awaken all the beings, so that people can transfer their suffering, transform their suffering and find happiness and joy in their daily life. So this is the sutra we call the Garland Discourse. This is the 10 vows of this Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. I have to say I'm a little bit ambitious to choose this sutra because it's quite many vows to talk about in 1 hour. But let's study it together to see how far we can go. So we don't have the goal that we have to finish it today. Yeah? We try. You know, when we talk about bodhisattvas, we can be kind of like dazzled by their radiance, by their wisdom, by their power. But actually, we can find our next door neighbor is some kind of bodhisattva, you know, on his or her own way. This, we call, in Buddhism, we call, like, when we follow the bodhisattva, we go on the path of a bodhisattva. That means we vow to engage ourselves in society, to help to bring the Dharma everywhere, to share the Dharma with everywhere, to share the practice of mindfulness with everybody. People out there, especially the activists, different kind of activism, people practice, but they don't see themselves as bodhisattva. They just see that this is something that they want to do. They want to devote their time, their energy for, to fight for good causes. So how do we relate ourselves with these bodhisattvas? We are very ordinary people with this senses, with this body, with this mind, with this life. How do we relate ourselves to these bodhisattva ideals? Or fighting for social equality, fighting for there's many good causes out there to fight for. And Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, he really deepened and practices his meditation to the highest realization, which reveals the weave of interconnectedness of ourselves with many other beings and with many other Buddhas. So that's how in the first few gatha they say, body, speech, and mind purified in oneness. I bow deeply to touch limitless Buddhas of the past, present, and future, throughout all worlds in the 10 directions. The power of Samantabhadra's vow enabled me to be present everywhere. Where there is Buddha, I am there. As Buddhas are countless, so too am I. Because of his powerful concentration, he can enable us to see our manifold manifestation of ourselves in the world. And when we see Buddhas, we see ourselves in the Buddhas. So this is a little bit abstract, but let us look closely at the Dharma sharing that we do this afternoon, or we did in the past. So my Dharma sharing, I have people from Europe, from America, from South Africa, from Asia. So when we share our thoughts, we share our insight, then people at the same time, we can really see ourselves manifest at the same time with these people at different locations. As well as we receive their insight and sharing. So they also manifest in us. We see their manifestation in where we are right now also. So I find that the Dharma sharing is a very good example to help us to understand this teaching. How we see our multifold manifestation in the world. Up to this point in our life, we have gone through many stages of education, of work, of training. And at these stages, we have our manifestation, right? We receive the education. We travel to certain parts, or wherever we are, we receive and we exchange with many other different people. So we can really see the interrelatedness, interconnectedness between ourselves and many other elements and conditions of what becoming who we are right now. So this helps us to see our many manifestations everywhere in the world. So then the Dharma sharing, our sharing, people receive from South Africa or from South America, we see ourselves manifest in their locations. Do you see? This is how it means, what it means when you see the limitless Buddha. We also see the limitless of ourselves. So how do we relate ourselves to these bodhisattvas with their ideals of servants? We think ourselves as a very ordinary people. We don't have that capacity as these great bodhisattvas. But following them on the path, as we have this intention to come here for today, for the day of mindfulness, to learn the Dharma. So we can learn the teachings of generosity, patience, ethical conduct, meditation, concentration, and insight. so that we can live in a way that we can benefit other beings. I am sure in one way or many other ways. Because of our practice of mindfulness or because our way of learning the Dharma, in many ways, we benefit other people with our insight or with our good intention. Or maybe because of our way of changing ourselves, changing our habits of thinking, of acting, of speaking. So we have some kind of good influence on other people. Is that right? You know, Mother Teresa, she is the manifestation of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. She said something like this: in this world, we cannot do great work, but we can do small work with great love. I think this is really what she speaks to us. Yeah. And we believe that the Bodhisattvas, they are forces in the world and in ourselves. I think we could not relate to them out there if they did not resonate with something inside of us. Is that right? So, if we want to do the activism work, I think we can follow the footsteps of Samantabhadra Bodhisattvas. That we really need to learn the meditation. We need to learn to look deeply, to see the interconnectedness of ourselves and many other people. So when we see, we can dig deep into our meditation and see we really relate to many people in many ways. Then gradually we can remove the notion, the concept of ourselves and others. Just like the pandemic, we don't say that, oh, I help you to give you the vaccination. I give you the vaccine. I help you. But with this teaching of interbeing, we really see if we don't provide vaccines to many other people in many other nations, we will continue to suffer altogether. So helping others, that means helping ourselves. We cannot be safe if other people are not safe. This is the meaning of the teaching. So the first three vows of Samantabhadra is the vow. The first one is to venerate all Buddhas. The second one is to praise all Buddha. And the third one is to offer to all Buddhas whenever we have a chance, whenever he has a chance. This is his vow. So I find that the first three vows, we can combine together because it's the same intention. So how do we venerate Buddha? So when we look at the Buddha statue, we really see the awakening capacity, ability. And that reminds us of ourselves, of our own awakening. And because these beings, they have their power, because of their enlightenment, they have such a power that they can lead us, they can guide us on the path so that we can see ourselves we can look deeper into ourselves and recognize our nature, our Buddhahood, our Buddha nature also. I remember when I first met Thầy, he's very simple monk. He's very, very simple monk. But in his presence, there is some kinds of energy that is very, very holy. I remember first time I met him, very natural. I wanted to prostrate to him. And I said, he's very, very, he's very humble. He actually doesn't want people to prostrate to him. But I remember that feeling when I first met him. Very, very natural. I just want to bow to him. Probably because of his awakening capacity, his compassion, the energy. I find that people of all ages, the children, the middle age, the older people, we all want to sit next to him. Even the animals. They just want to be near him. His compassion radiates out. And so that's how I understand this, the first vow of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, venerate the Buddha. Because they remind us of our own awakening capacity. Or the living teachers, they represent their lineage that maintain the teachings and pass on to us. So we want to really venerate these awakening beings. So how do we apply this vow into our daily life? I think we all want to live with Buddha, right? Any one of us want to live with Mara? I think we all want to live with Buddha. So in our monastery, we have the practice of shining light, and we are doing it right now. And the more we practice the shining light, the more we really see how wonderful these practices can help us to somehow, in many ways, to manifest our Buddha nature. Because the way we shine light on each member of the Sangha, we really see, we want to bring out what is the best in each one of us. And so we shine that light. It helps us to see our talents, our virtues, but at the same time also help us to see our limitations. And as we used to say, we always have room for improvement. So this practice of shining light is so wonderful to help us to live in a way that we can be wholesome, we can be kind, we can be joyful, we can be generous, we can be compassionate. And if we want to live with Buddha, we have to bring out what is the best in the people we are living with. So we have to practice. If we don't have the mindfulness, we are not able to do this. Therefore, for the day of mindfulness like this, it helps us to practice mindfulness so that our mindfulness can grow. Then it's not so difficult for us to recognize the goodness in other people. Because when we are not mindful, we remember and we see only the weaknesses, the shortcomings of other people. But for us, the longer we live together, the more we appreciate each other. Because we generate mindfulness every day. So even though somebody do something that is a bit irritated, but we're able to see the other signs of that person and not get so caught in the mistakes or that shortcoming of that person. And because if we get caught in that, we keep watering that seed, that negative seed in that person. And the more we water, the more we live with Mara. So if we want to live with Buddha, we have to build, we have to develop, we have to invest into helping that person recognize their Buddha nature. So to venerate the Buddha is not something very abstract. We only bow to the statue Buddha. But we can bow to the people we are living with. Do you know, I think many of us, we know Brother Pháp Ứng, the eldest monk in Upper Hamlet. He has such a beautiful practice of this practice. Whenever he sees that people do something very, very beautiful, even the novice, he would come, he join his palm, and he say, "Thank you for sharing this," or "Thank you for doing this." He really, really water our seeds, our beautiful qualities. And he's so humble. I mean, he's an elder, he's older than me. He can say, "Oh, thank you for doing this." But he join his palm, and he say, "Thank you." So when I live with someone like that, it's helped me also. I want to develop this kind of practice also. Actually, the more we water, or the more we recognize the beautiful qualities in our younger brothers and sisters, the more confident they become. The second vow is to praise all the Buddha. When we do the incense offering, we praise the Buddha. And why we have to praise the Buddha? They already awakened. Do they need our praise? So because we praise them, because out of our gratitude, they open our eyes, they help us to see the path, they help us to become a better person. So we have a lot of gratitude. We want to praise them. And when we do the incense offering, when you hear in Vietnamese, incense offering, you may not understand what it is. But actually, it is praising the Buddha, all of their qualities. And the Buddhas have 10 kinds of, we call names or something. And Great Awakening, the Tathagata, there's 10 names like that. And when we do the incense offering, we praise them. And when we praise the Buddha, we also recognize our Buddha nature, our ability to be awakened, just like them. And I find that the best way for us to praise teachers or Buddha is to put their teachings into practice. When we see Thầy walks, he really, really embodies the teaching of mindfulness. And when we just see him, immediately we remember to come back to ourselves. The third kind of the third vow is to offer, to make offering to the Buddhas. We have many Buddha statues along the way on the walking meditation path. And in summer, we have so many children. And you will see them cling on to the Buddha, They will put their hands around the Buddha's neck and they hug the Buddha. Or they sit on the Buddha's lap. And sometimes they pick up a pebble or a small pine cone. They offer to the Buddha. It's very pure. Their intention is very pure. They see something in that Buddha statue and they want to pick up something and they want to offer. That's how in the temple we have a tradition. Flowers or fruits, when they bloom or when they ripe, we harvest them, and the first thing we do is to offer to the Buddha. So in Buddhism, we've emphasized a lot of the spirit of offering, not the quality or the quantity of our offering. So when we offer something that is very pure, then this have a great effect. And sometimes people, when they donate a large amount of money for construction or for building Buddha statue, actually in many temples, there's a kind of practice. If you offer more than 100,000, your name will be bigger. If you offer only 5,000, your name will be smaller. I think this is a wrong practice. Personally, I think it's I think it's not really reflect the teachings of offering. Because if we categorize like that, we will put people into different categories. And it's not really help people to see the value of their offering. Even a pebble or just a small flowers, they have the value of offering. Maybe we can have a bell, help us to be awake a little bit more. So the fourth vow is to repent our wrongdoing, our mistakes. I think it is very helpful for us to recognize and to realize our awakening nature. We have to have the humility and the recognition of our mistakes, of our wrongdoing of the past, so that we can examine our three actions of body, speech, and mind, and also our very nature of self-grasping. Myself, this is mine, this is myself. It's very, very, very strong in us. We have a practice we call beginning anew with Mother Earth. And in that practice, we collectively read the text, see how we can recognize the damage, the destruction we did to the earth. We have to be awakened together in order to do this kind of beginning anew with Mother Earth. In one of the retreats, we did it together, and it was very healing. And at the same time, it has its power to remind us to be more mindful about impact to the earth. All of us, we did make mistakes in the past because of our lack of mindfulness. But very luckily, we have the practice, we have the 5 mindfulness trainings. It really guides us on our daily activities and daily intention. And I find what the best way to repent is to practice the 5 mindfulness trainings. whatever we did in the past, whatever mistakes or wrongdoing we did in the past, it is because it's from our lack of mindfulness. But now we learn this practice, we learn the mindfulness and the 5 mindfulness trainings, then somehow we can have confidence that these mindfulness trainings can guide us on our daily life, that we can make less mistakes, that we can have more wholesome intention. Vow number 5, we rejoice with other people's happiness or success. That when we see other people are successful or happy or achieving something, we are happy for them. How do we practice this? And again, we really see these vows reflect the teachings of interbeing. We don't really see people out there achieve something, and we are not people. We are not achieving anything. They achieve something. We don't have anything to achieve. We still see the line between ourselves and others. So this practice arises from the teachings of interbeing, to help us to remove the barrier between ourselves and others. Thầy, he used to say, he's very happy to see us successful in our practice, because he sees we are the continuation of him. If we are not successful, then he's not successful. He sees ourselves as him, as his continuation. And whatever we do, we see that we achieve together. So a day of mindfulness like this today involve many people, many monastics, brothers and sisters. I am only doing the easiest part. I sit here and drink tea. We cannot have a day of mindfulness like this if not involve the whole communities. So whatever we achieve for this day, for today, is the achievement of everybody. So if we understand this teaching like this, and it's not that very difficult for us to be happy or to feel happy for other people. But usually when we have some difficulties with someone, and if that person has some kinds of achievement or success, it's not that very easy for us to feel happy for that person, because we still have some kind of unpleasant feeling with that person, and that it stops us from being happy for that person. Number 6, we invite the Buddha to turn the Dharma wheel. And number 7, we request the Buddha to stay with us. We can combine these 2 vows into one. When the Buddha realized his awakening, when he awakened totally, fully, he saw that all beings have this nature of awakening. But very strangely, people live in suffering, in darkness. And so he contemplated for many days. And one Brahman requested the Buddha to teach the Dharma, because there are beings who are able to receive the teachings and practice and realize awakening. But there are people with their confusion, with their obstacles, with their arrogance, they're not able to receive the teaching. Not because of these elements that you do not teach the Dharma. Or with our situation right now, with Thay, he's not able to teach anymore. But even though he doesn't teach, his presence is enough for us. He has many kinds of therapists, speech therapists, physical therapists, help him to regain his voice and his strength and everything. But it requires a lot of strength and energy. And he realized that he doesn't have that much energy and strength to do these kind of therapies. So he thanks people for their service, for their offering. But he preserves his energy. He's present for us. Because if he do these therapies, it will exhaust him. And his presence is enough for us to inspire us. And we want him to remain as long as he can with us. So if we have this intention or this willingness, this will, then we can understand this vow of Samantabhadra Bodhisattvas, to beg the Buddhas to remain in the world. Or we can say for now, for all living teachers or living awakening beings, they are lamps to the world, and we want to be near them, we want to be close to them, because they can really guide us, they can really inspire us. Well, we are doing quite progressively. We go to number 8, studying the Dharma. When we study the Dharma, we see the benefit of it. We see how we can change our life, how we can become happier, how we can inspire other people. Then we learn the Dharma with the intention to share the Dharma with many other people, as many as people we can. And as you already experience, after many Dharma sharings, usually we feel very inspired. We learn a lot, and we feel very inspired. But at the same time, we also feel very supported. So this is the vow that always seek ways to learn the Dharma of Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. And the last 2 vows is to benefit all beings and to transfer or to share all the merit with all beings. As you see, the last 2 vows, it's really connect to vow number 5, rejoicing in others' happiness. You see the interbeing of these 3 vows. It's the last 2 vows, benefiting all beings and transferring merit to all beings. It is the resolve of the practice of the vow number 5, rejoicing with all beings. In society, even people who don't know these vows, but they do have the kinds of insight that giving back. They realize that they achieve their success because of many conditions, favorable conditions. And once they are successful, they want to give back. And we see many billionaires, they have the will of giving away their wealth. So they are kind of bodhisattva. They are practicing this vow because they know that their donation will benefit many, many millions of people, of beings. They invest in trust, in fund, foundations, in order to benefit millions of people. And it's very natural for the last vow is to transfer and to share the merit with all beings. Buddhists of all schools, or people of all kinds of religions and practices, we have this common practice of sharing the merit with many other beings. And again, we really see when we achieve when we accumulate some kind of merit, some fruit of our practice, and sometimes, like Thầy said, that that's too abundant. He said that his happiness is too abundant, not abandoned, too abundant, that he cannot contain in his heart. He has to share with many other people. And I think that's one of the reasons we all want to be near him, because of his energy. And it's at the end of our chanting session or at the end of our sharing session, we offer the merit. We share this merit with all beings. To those who are less fortunate than us, they don't have yet the chance to encounter the Dharma, to practice mindfulness and meditation, to realize some fruits of the practice, they still suffer. Then we have this kind of fruit and merit we want to share with everybody. And again, we can really see we remove the barrier between ourselves and others. Whatever I achieve is also your achievement. So this is the 10 vows of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. Actually, each vow we can give one Dharma talk. But today we share briefly with you these 10 vows. And I find that vows is something that it helps us a lot to be active, to be engaged. Because if we don't have any vow, we may not have a purpose. We may not have a goal. Well, in Buddhism, we say we don't have any goal to achieve. But this vow is kind of like something that helps us to focus, helps us to channel our energy, our intention, so to something. And as we know, we look around, there's immense suffering out there. There's so many causes that we can fight for. But and again, when we feel exhausted, when we feel burned out because of whatever kinds of activism we do, we can always go back to this body, to this breathing, to this mind. Now, the bodhicitta, the mind of the beginner, the beginning mind, which is very beautiful. Thầy used to say, especially the young brothers and sisters, they are very young brothers and sisters, and Thầy call them very young bodhisattvas, because they have such a beautiful bodhicitta, the beginner's mind. And he said, even though they like to eat good food, they like to sleep, but it's okay. They are very young bodhisattvas, because in their heart, they have the intention, they have the will to do the work of the bodhisattvas. So, in the past, when I kind of just ordained, I have one kind of intention. Vow is a commitment or intention. I have a kind of intention. I want to follow my habit energy unconsciously. It's very strong in me. I follow my instinct, my habit energy. But after many years, I find that now my intention is to follow other people's habit energies. Because collectively, we live together, we influence each other. And so many projects, many workshops, many things the young brothers and sisters, they ask me to do. Sometimes I say no. But because I see their intention, I see their heart, they want to do something, and I want to join them. So I kind of like follow them. I think each one of us, we have a story. Either stories about ourselves, our trauma, our identity, our nationalities, and we believe in these things, or the way we are trained, the way we are educated by society, by the world. Somehow, it disconnects us from all the beings. We lose the openness and the wonders of our own life and the interconnectedness with all the beings. So meditation is to help us to recognize our stories, our traumas, but not be entrapped by them. One Whitman, he said something. That we are each vast and multitude. I think we all heard this sentence. Actually, our own stories, if we look deeply, we can really see it is just only a small part of a much bigger stories of many other beings. And with the teaching of interbeing, of this Avatamsaka Sutra, we can see our interrelatedness with many other beings, then we can remove the barrier between ourselves and other people. So whatever work we do, we don't say, I do it for you, I do it for other beings, because we already remove that notion of ourselves and others. Like Thầy used to say, whatever we do, it is purely out of love. Out of love for ourselves, for the earth, and for others. And we have to creatively find ways to support one another, to sustain our intention and our volition. Because if we lack of this support, it will be very, very challenging and very, very tiring to go on this path. And if we look at the birds, they can fly very far, but at the end of the day, they fly back to their nest. They have a nest. They fly back, and they find very safe, very warm in their nest. So we have to build that kind of nest for ourselves, so that we can always return and feel nurtured and feel embrace and feel support. We can do a lot out there, but when we return home, we can feel very lonely because we don't find any support. So in order to do something big out there, we have to have that kind of nest for us. Because activism is something that you don't do for one day or 1 week. Or being a monastic is not for one life, not for 1 year, but it's one life. So if we don't find the nourishment, it's very difficult for us to go on. And I know it's time to stop, because it's already too long to listen to. Doesn't matter how much intention we have to know the limit. So we have to know our limitation and find the support that we need so that we can go on. And not only just go on, but find the joy and the meaning of what we are doing. So good luck.
So, dear friends, you can now softly massage your legs, unfold your legs. And after the sound of the small bell, we can bow to our Dharma teacher, to Sister Thuận Nghiêm, to express our gratitude. And after that, we can turn toward the altar and express our gratitude to our spiritual ancestors and teachers. After that, please sit down back. We will have some announcements.